Welcome to the CT Educator podcast. I am your host, Karina Hogan. I am a registered CT technologist with 20 years of experience and knowledge. I help new CT technologists level up their CT training so that you can become a successful technologist. I'm also a mom and committed to sharing my knowledge and expertise to help you build your confidence, know the CT basics so that you can deliver quality patient care. So let's get into it. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I know I've been a little absent because sometimes life is lifing and life has been lifing. My girls are in a summer program, so I am having more time to do things as far as teach, coach, currently working on a project for one of my clients, and I'm even thinking about doing a little bit of consulting. I know that has been brought to my attention and I've been approached about that. So I don't know, lots of good things in the works. So hope you guys are having a good week. I know I have been posting some stuff on Instagram as far as being the go-to CT tech. I know I had to kind of push back the days to that live challenge. So that live challenge is going to be at the end of this month. I will continue to post on Facebook and Instagram. So make sure you check out my social channels to know when those dates will drop. Okay. It's just working and teaching and kids. It has gotten the best of me. So I am trying to be superwoman and not trying to overwhelm myself. Plus, as most of you may not know, I do run another podcast, which is a completely different audience. But I'll link it in the show notes if you're interested, where I host the Rare Mama podcast. That's where I talk about parenting, special needs parenting. Currently, I'm doing a segment on dads as far as that. So if you're interested, go have that a listen. It's a really good one. In between running 2 podcasts and running a business, this girl is tired. So in today's episode, I am going to share with you the price or just the disservice of not investing in coaching and mentoring as a CT technologist. Now, I know I have talked a lot about when it comes to education, when it comes to amping up your training, making sure you know what you're supposed to know. I really emphasize that on all my podcast episodes because I feel that that is such an important part and it's such an important piece when it comes to just being a successful technologist. And it's something that's very important because we are also teaching the next generation coming in to the modalities, whether it's X-ray, MRI, whatever the case is. But especially in CT, where it's an advanced modality, we have to make sure that we are up to date on our skills so that we can teach the next generation on how to be great. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, we have to invest in some type of mentorship, in some type of coaching, in some type of education to make sure that we nail down those pieces so that we can teach the next generation, right? So I think it's a disservice when we as advanced experienced technologists, and I'm talking about 10 years or more, that we don't invest in some kind of mentorship and some kind of coaching. And I think I know why that is probably because it doesn't really exist out there. So I'm kind of breaking the stereotype per se and breaking the norm and offering that service to you CT technologists out there because I think it's something that is needed because mentoring and coaching is something that could be useful. And I think it'll probably bring out really good people who have a lot of knowledge. And if I see those people, trust me, I'm going to be sucking the knowledge out of you because I learn from everybody. I don't care if you have 30 years of experience or you have 5. I want to know everything that you know because we don't gatekeep and we share information, right? So I think that there's 5 things that I'm going to discuss in this episode that can really just hinder you and hold you back as far as not getting coaching, not investing in coaching and mentoring that would make you just tip top on top of your skills and ready to teach the next person. So the very first thing is when you have very few career advancement opportunities. Okay. Well, the reason that that comes at a price is because of lack of training. It could lead to skill gaps, which are crucial to success when it comes to teaching others and knowing what you need to know so that you can perform optimal exams and that patient gets the quality care that they are requesting because they're coming in with different medical issues, right? So, missing out on key knowledge and skills, you want to set yourself apart from the peers. And when you lack training, you lack those gaps, that are crucial for success, you're missing out on those key skills. You know what? It's going to set you apart from other people who invest in themselves, people who take the time to go to seminars, get that extra education, knowing what the latest trends are. So it's really important because if you lack those things, there are going to be fewer career advancement opportunities. Because if you come and say, hey, I want to bump in pay, I want to move to a higher position, and you're not at tip top where you're supposed to be, how is that going to look? Now, the second thing I am going to discuss is we technologists are often faced with very high stress situations because in radiology, there's a lot of sick patients that go through, each of our modalities. In CT, especially, there's a lot of just high acuity, there's a lot of sick patients. So, with that comes with very high stress situations and complex exams. So, what does that result in? It results in lack of confidence when you're burnt out and you're stressed, competency in performing these complex exams. And that can spill into your work life balance and even into your personal life, especially, okay, you had a shitty day at work. The patients were rude. This patient coded on the CT table. I mean, there's so many factors that increase your stress and burnout when it comes to that. So we have to be tip top on our game on how to be confident to get those complex cases, just performed and just excel at them. It's hard enough when trauma calls and says, I want a CTA runoff on this guy. Oh, but then I need a CTA head and neck. Oh, but I need you to get bilateral humeruses as well. Those are very complex because when you have a patient that's been shot 20 times, the patient is hanging on by a thread, intubated with all these drugs running through them and blood and this and that. And you have 5 nurses and 3 respiratory techs, an entire trauma team. You're talking about like 30 people in one CT scan room trying to make sure that this guy makes it before he goes to surgery. So it can really burn you out and stress you out if you are not confident and you are not competent on performing those complex exams. And nobody wants to take anything home when it comes to the stressful situation that we endure as CT technologists. Nobody wants to take that home. I don't want to take that home to my kids and take out that stress on them. No, that's not even right. Okay. So that's why I stress education, making sure you do things right and making sure that you have some kind of mentor or mentorship or coaching. So important. The third thing that I am going to talk about is with inadequate training. And I know I have many podcast episodes where I talk about CT and the training. Is it adequate or not? Let's cut the BS here. We know that our training is not adequate when we get out there on that floor. I don't care if you've been through a CT program. I don't care if you were cross-trained on the job. I don't care where your training came from. We all know it's not adequate. I'm going to say that again. It's not adequate. We could do a better job. Now, I understand that there's colleges and universities that have CT programs. I've taken the time to really investigate and see how these programs are set up. I could tell you it's not setting you up the way that I would set you up with just, workshopping, making sure that you know what you're supposed to need to know, making sure that you hardwire those protocols down, making sure you know how to position the patient correctly. Because, yes, that falls into the part of the clinical site and the clinical competencies. But here's the problem that you're going to run into. And this is where the third piece comes in, where it's costly mistakes. So when you get out into the clinical site, let's say hypothetically, and a lot of times you run into techs who have been there 20, 30, however many years. And 9 times out of 10, because I've come across a lot of technologists in the 21 years I've been in tech, a lot of times what does happen is that you come across technologists that are not really sure, haven't educated themselves in years, and just tell you to push a button. Listen, when you get inadequate training, especially somebody who doesn't know because they had inadequate training as well, and it's not their fault, okay? We are just going to call it like it is here, okay? So what that can lead to is you can overexpose the patient, your patient centering, patient positioning is completely wrong. You could scan the wrong body part. You can extravasate contrast into a patient's arm if you're not properly checking that IV, or you can cause an air embolus if you're not priming that injector and making sure there's no air in your tubing when you connect it to the patient's IV. Okay. I have to tell you, those are crucial steps, and they may sound ridiculous. They may sound like I'm a broken record, but I can't tell you how many technologists I have seen where patients have expired, and because of not double checking what you're doing and because of inadequate training. I'm dead serious, and I'm pretty sure you guys listening have seen that. I knew a technologist back in my home state who injected a patient because they were not paying attention to making sure that there was no air in that injector tubing and make sure they prime it for that air before they connected it to the patient, injected 150 cc's of air in the patient. Luckily, the patient made it, but guess what? That technologist got suspended. And I don't know if they ever lost their license. Not really sure because I never really, followed up on that case. But those are the things that can cause you to, make costly mistakes. Now, I'm pretty sure you remember the story back in 2007, I believe. I had to do a paper on this when I was going through my bachelor's program, where there was a story about a technologist, and it's public knowledge. And she was not a registered TT tech. It happened at a hospital in California. And I'm pretty sure everybody listening knows which story this is. So she was a registered x-ray tech, been doing CT for 10 years, and overexposed a patient's son who was 2 years old 150 times for a head CT. Okay. 150 exposures. Okay. Now, a lot of people are going to have a lot of differences of opinions, whether, she should have been a registered CT tech. Listen, it really doesn't matter, okay? Because with inadequate training, those are the things that can happen. Now, this technologist is, this young lady is no longer a technologist because the ARRT revoked her license. And it's just an unfortunate situation because if you know something is wrong with the protocol and something is wrong with the machine, stop the exam. That's what it should have happened. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to costly mistakes. And you have to be educated properly because it can compromise the safety of the patient. You can find yourself in a lot of legal repercussions, and it can damage your reputation in future job opportunities. So I stress so much about education. Make sure you get that knowledge. Make sure that you understand what it is that you are learning, making sure that you do things correctly, because those are the things that can happen. And that's not a place that you want to be, right? Now, that goes into my next point where, the medical industry is constantly evolving. There's new technology that comes out all the time, new techniques, things of that nature. That's why I stress education is so important and not to fall behind. Now, I know there's some older techs because I work with older techs, okay? And I have my entire career, even when I was an x-ray, where it's like, this is me, this is what I know. I'm not, they are afraid of change. And that's fine. That is you. But you need to get with the times. And I'm going to say that because things are evolving. There's new techniques that are out there, new things to make our job easier, make us work faster. So the patients don't have to lay on a cold, hard table for more than 3 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, right? So education is important because you need to know what's the latest and greatest, what's trending, and how that can affect your employment opportunities. Because a lot of times employers look for techs that have certain knowledge when it comes to like AI programs and, 3D process, post processing and things like that. So go learn some shit. You can come learn some shit from me because I got a lot of knowledge and I don't gatekeep. It's really important that you keep up with your skills in your education. Now, a lot of times we feel the impact, and this is my last point, of feeling unprepared, less skilled than other techs that are working with you. You feel unsupported. You don't feel any mentorship. You feel like, okay, nobody's teaching me anything. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm constantly making mistakes, which leads to dissatisfaction in your current position, and it leads to higher turnovers in departments. I can't tell you many times that I have said, even to other techs or to managers or to anybody, technologists do not leave because of money. They leave because they are not supported by management. They leave because of management, because if there are problems and there's extra training, there's extra this, whatever the case is that they're asking for, it's not getting done. It's not being fulfilled. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to another place where you're going to feel supported. You're going to feel that you can get that education. You're going to feel that, yes, there are techs that care, that want to see me succeed. You are going to feel like, okay, I'm feeling mentored. I can do this. I don't have to be afraid. A lot of new technologists feel this way, where, they're a year in and they don't feel that backup or support from management. I could tell you what that is, but that's an entire other podcast episode, which I'm not going to go into detail with it. A lot of it has to do with, sometimes it's folks in management that have no radiology experience. And that is 100% of the truth. And that's why staff don't feel supported. So low job satisfaction and fulfillment and feeling like, yes, I have the confidence to execute the job duties. We want to feel mentored and supported in our role. And when we can't feel that way, there's a higher turnover, and there's a high turnover everywhere. And there's dissatisfaction in the workplace. High turnovers are because of management. It's not because of money. It's not because you don't like this person. It's not because of that. It's usually because of management. That's usually the highest turnover. Okay. Now, I know a lot of techs will leave and say, oh, well, I'm getting more money. But let me let you in on this. Just because you get more money doesn't mean that things are automatically going to be better at that new place, because every place has its own problems, right? So just because you make more money doesn't mean that the problems are not still there. And that's why I emphasize that if you invest in coaching and you invest in mentorship, it can increase that fulfillment and job satisfaction and increase your confidence. You can go take a traveling job. You can take a management position. You can get the education and say, okay, I know what's the latest and greatest. And that's why I have taken the time to build a coaching program around that. So I have 3 tiers. So I have from beginner to mid-level to the most advanced technologist, where you will personally get me to coach you for 6 months. and there will be live Zoom calls, Slack coaching, and I teach a live seminar once a month to just make sure that you are tip top on your skill set. Okay. So if that is something that you're interested in, make sure you check out the show notes. All the links to the challenge, to program information for coaching and mentoring are available there. And you can click on the links, check it out. I am going to be opening the doors next month for this brand new coaching program. I'm super excited about it. And there is really nothing that I've seen of this nature. And I'm super excited to just bring it out and put it out there for everybody to join. Okay. So that is the 5 things that I have when you do not invest in coaching and mentoring, what can really happen and how it can affect you, in your abilities and confidence as a CT technologist. Okay. So I hope this was insightful. It was helpful and just some good information. Also, I recently read, I kind of briefly read the newest ASRT scanner magazine that comes out. I know that's like what is it? I think it's like a quarterly magazine. I don't know. It's been so long with ASRT that, I'm trying to like get it, stay up with the latest and greatest. So I need to take my own advice. So congratulations to the catheter jockeys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You guys are freaking brilliant. I have to sit down and read the articles, with these children. Oh my gosh, it's just, I am mom 24/7. So, as a single mom, I have a lot on my plate, but I am going to take the time out to make sure that I read the article. Prof B, excellent. And Chandra, who is the owner of a couple of RadTech's podcasts. You guys are amazing. I can't wait to read these articles. I did see it on my email. So congratulations to all you guys. An amazing accomplishment, and I can't wait to read it. So you guys are amazing. And this is what our profession is all about. Just having a voice, making sure that we are seen, we are recognized, we are everything. And also congratulations to Collaboration RA. I think there was a piece in there with Reese. I don't remember. I'll just, maybe I'm thinking that Reese tagged that and I saw it on Instagram. So yeah, but make sure you check out Collaboration RA's podcast too. I know I've been catching up with it. Marceline and Reese, they're great people. I know I've talked to Marceline personally, over DM. She's a really knowledgeable, just a great lady. And I'm going to hit them up to get on their podcast. So I am going to do that and do a little bit more of collaboration because that's what it's all about. So congrats to all these guys. You guys are all amazing. And I am so thankful that I have gotten to know all of you. I know Chandra and I haven't really talked. I know we've kind of exchanged some stuff on TikTok, but I would love to reach out to her and collaborate with her. So congrats to all you guys. Make sure you guys check that out. So it's on the ASRT Scanner magazine. There is articles on Prof B, Chandra, and the catheter jockeys. So, and I think Reese, I don't know. I may be wrong, because my mom brain just can't think. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, make sure you check out all the links. Make sure you follow on Instagram at the CT Educator. I'm also on Facebook at the CT Educator. So as always, like, share, subscribe, as this keeps the show running and I can bring more great episodes, and maybe this can help out a fellow technologist that's struggling. So hope you guys have an amazing week, and I will chat with you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you would like to share your CT experience, have an interesting story to share, or need help in your CT training, please email me your questions at contact@thecteducator.com. Follow along on Instagram at the CT Educator, also on Facebook at the CT Educator. Don't forget to like, share, leave a 5-star review, as this will help support the show and it'll reach all of you that need guidance. Thank you for listening and happy scanning.